千里之行，始于足下. A journey of 1,000 miles begins beneath the feet. We now gather in the Tao to travel the journey together. So the last point on this slide is about complaining, criticizing, and gossiping. And what I wanted to say was that people mostly are not aware of how much they complain and when they're complaining. So in Tao cultivation, I have found it to be very useful to look into this particular book, The Complaint-Free World. This book from Will Bowen talks about a specific practice to attain, to create a complaint-free world for yourself. And there's so much more happiness and joy when you live in a world of positivity instead of the negativity of complaints. So this particular slide probably deserves a little more attention. To the left, you see the cover for A Complaint-Free World. Take the 21-day challenge. The 21-day challenge, the way it works is that there is a purple bracelet, which you see on the cover of the book. That goes on the wrist. So the idea, it's a clever idea. The idea is that for 21 days, whenever you catch yourself complaining, you take the bracelet from one wrist and transfer that to the other wrist. And then you start over again. The goal is to reach 21 consecutive days, 3 weeks, 21 days of no complaints. When you have hit 21 days of continuous complaint-free days, you have accomplished the task. And people note that it's not as easy as it seems, that they habitually complain. They never realized that this was the case. But when they start doing this, they actually uncover a whole world of possibilities. There is an incredible power that comes over to them, that it leads to so much more happiness. So that's what the book is all about. And there's a lot. There's a lot about the concept, the practice. So I also wanted to show you on the right-hand side the translation of the book into Mandarin. So this is the on the right-hand side is the cover for the Mandarin edition of the A Complaint-Free World. So, and let me break it down for you. So first of all, the first thing to notice is that the cover looks very different than the English original edition. That's actually not a big surprise. When foreign language publishers, publisher from a different country, negotiates for the publishing rights in a particular language from the original publisher, they usually do not also purchase the rights for the cover. And this is usually because they can recreate the cover much more easily using their own resources, their own designers, artists, graphics professionals to create their own covers. And that's why the cover looks so different. So they have to rework the cover anyway because it has to be in their target language. So the top 3 characters, the first character means no, and then the second and third characters there mean complaint. So no complaint. Then the characters below are apostrophe S and then world. So altogether, the 6 characters would be a literal translation, a good translation of the English title, A Complaint-Free World. So many books translated into Mandarin have very distorted titles that are nothing like the original, or different in some ways from the original. So translating from English to Mandarin is just as troublesome and full of problems as translating from Chinese to English. And then the subtitle there, the small text that you see between the 6 big characters, it's basically saying globally, 80 countries and 6 million people have enthusiastically joined in this movement of spiritual happiness. So that's there's no corresponding subtitle from the original book. The original book has the subtitle, How to Stop Complaining and Start Enjoying the Life You Always Wanted. So the book designer in the Mandarin edition have chosen to go in a different direction on that. And then to the left-hand side of the Mandarin cover, you'll see more text intended for advertising. It starts with the name of the author, the name of the translator, and then it goes on to talk about how you can think positive, you can be distant, you can get further away from problems. So this can change your life if you take on the 21-day challenge and you can uncover this incredible divine power in your life. And then it goes on, but you get the idea. So this particular book, The Complaint-Free World, I actually recommend. And there's the original author, Will Bowen, he uses a joke to get people into this idea of the complaint-free world, and that joke incorporates a central idea of the Tao and Zen Buddhism. So I want to relate that to you. So Will Bowen, what the author says is that there's an old joke, and the point that he wants to illustrate is that we complain not to change things, but as an alternative to changing things. So he talks about 2 construction workers that they're buddies and they always have lunch together. So every day they sit down for lunch, and every day they bring out their lunchbox and they take out the food and they have their lunch together as friends. So one of them, every day when he takes out his packed lunch, he'll open it up and then discover that it's meatloaf sandwich. So, and he always says, meatloaf sandwich, another meatloaf sandwich? Oh, darn it. So this is, of course, heard by his friend. Now, day after day, every lunch, he is always unpacking his lunchbox, getting his sandwich out, and then, oh no, meatloaf sandwich, another one? So this went on until his colleague could no longer contain himself. So he said to his friend, listen, why don't you just tell your wife to make you something else? Something different from the meatloaf sandwich. So he's suggesting this, but the complaining coworker says, what are you talking about? I make my own lunch. So Will Bowen uses that little story to make the point that we're complaining a lot, we're complaining all the time, just like, oh no, meatloaf sandwich, but we're actually the ones creating the cause for complaint. We're packing our own lunch. We're making the meatball sandwich for ourselves. So what is the solution? Well, when you start this practice for 21 days, to aim for 21 days, interesting things begin to happen. So first of all, people make the discovery that they are not the kind of people they think they are. And if I'm being honest with everyone, I would also have to be blunt. I would also have to confess that probably most of us are not the kind of people we think we are. We're like most other people out there. We think we're positive and upbeat. You hear this all the time. You hear people say, well, I'm someone who thinks the glass as half full and not half empty. Meaning, hey, everybody, I'm an optimist. Glass is half full. Okay, I'm a positive person. I'm always, cheerful. They think of themselves that way. But that is only because they do not realize how much negativity they carry around. When they actually start paying attention, they're surprised, even shocked about the amount of negativity they carry around. So this occurs when you begin with the bracelets. It's really, when you analyze it, it's really nothing more than a practice in mindfulness. Actually doing it, actually transferring the bracelet from one wrist to another, that's just an opportunity for your mind to recognize to itself that, I didn't think I complained that much, but I just complained. That was a complaint. And as you go through a day, transferring the bracelet from one wrist to the other, you begin to reflect that, wow, I actually complain way more than I thought. So this practice, even before reaching 21 days of consecutive days with no complaints, even just one day or even just 0 days, you're just spending your time transferring the bracelet from one wrist to the other. Even that, even just a little bit of that mindfulness is extremely helpful. It can change your life dramatically. So there's a correspondent who wrote to the original author, Will Bowen. He wrote, I have not yet made it to 21 consecutive days without complaining. He says, I seem to hit a wall around day 4, and I have to start over again. But then he says, but even with just 4 days, I have found that I'm already a much happier person. Is the bracelet supposed to do that? So the author, laughs about this when he relates it to his audience, when he talks about this topic, and he says, it's that mindfulness, it's that awareness of the amount that you complain. Even a little bit of it can change your life dramatically, can have a powerful effect on you, can make you much happier. Now, there are also people who say that, well, I think negative thoughts all the time, so I'm going to take it to the next level. Whenever I detect that I have a complaining thought, even if I don't say it, I will transfer the bracelet from one wrist to the other. And the author says, that's actually not necessary. It's actually the wrong way to go. So let me explain. There's no need to specifically try to change the way you think, even though you become aware of a lot of negativity and complaints in your thinking. That's because of the mind-body connection. It's a two-way connection. So if you just focus on what you say, when complaints come out, and then act on it, that seems like just a physical manifestation, but it'll change your mental self as well. Work on your expressions, the actual complaints that come out of your mouth, and your thoughts will follow. That's what makes it powerful. That's what makes it work. Our meeting has come to an end, but the journey continues on. Let us travel safely. Until next time, May the Tao fill you with peace and happiness.